Hi guys, George here from Zero Period Productions, and today we're diving back into the Elder Scrolls Online Necrom as we take a look at Bastion Nymics, the new world event for this chapter. Similar to how we had dolmens in the base game, abyssal geysers in Somerset, dragons in Elsewhere, and harrowstorms in Greymoor, Bastion Nymics are intended for groups to complete together. With unique rewards and a daily quest, Nymics will provide players with a journey into the depths of Apocrypha as they aid Hermaeus Mora in bringing stability back to his realm. Before we get started, I'd like to thank the sponsor of today's video, Bethesda Softworks. Necrom is the latest chapter in the Elder Scrolls Online, taking players old and new to the Telvanni Peninsula and the Daedric Plain of Apocrypha. As shadows loom over Morrowind, you are tasked with aiding the Daedric Prince of Knowledge to prevent the collapse of his realm, and all of Nirn as well. With the new Arcanist player class, hours of new quests, 2 new companions and more, now is a great time to jump into Tamriel. The Elder Scrolls Online Necrom is available now for PC and Mac and releases on June 20th for Xbox One, Series S and X, and PlayStation 4 and 5. There's some really cool lore behind the Bastion Nymic world events, pertaining to the Daedra and rival princes of Hermaeus Mora. In lore, a Nymic is said to be the true name of a Daedra, and knowing that can allow you to banish it, or even bind it to your own service. Hermaeus Mora, being an archivist of many secrets, has collected countless Nymics in his time, storing them safely within his realm. Rival princes have taken it upon themselves to try and steal his collection, turning Hermaeus Mora's own servants against him in the process. We are therefore tasked with entering Apocrypha and defeating the heralds leading these attacks. To get started, you'll need to speak with Ordinator Tandesia in Necrom, who will give you a quest to collect Daedric Ichor, a material that drops from special creatures called Herald Seekers. Daedric Ichor is marked as a quest item. It can only be collected while this daily quest is active, meaning that you're able to do it once a day per character, or more than once if you group up with other players and get a quest share for it. Seekers are roaming mini-world bosses of a sort, with almost 2 million health and a couple different phases to their fight. It's definitely recommended you do this as a group because, they hit hard. Fortunately, there's a lot of players seeking out the Seekers, so you're more than likely to run across another group out in the wild if you're playing on your own. Farming Seekers for their Ichor is pretty easy though. They pop up everywhere across the new playable zones of Apocrypha and the Telvanni Peninsula. They drop 1 Ichor per member of your group, which does stack for the quest progress. So a group of 2 gets 2 Ichor per Seeker, and a group of 4 gets 4 Ichor. The daily quest itself will give you a few search zones to help narrow it down too. You won't have to kill Seekers in these specific regions in order to progress the quest. These are just suggested for the sake of convenience. Once you've collected the 5 necessary Daedric Ichor, you'll be able to enter one of the portal edifices. Unlike many of the other world events that we've seen in the past, Bastion Nymics are placed in their own instances, and you'll only see players that you've grouped with, rather than meeting up with random players as you go. While you can technically run these solo, I would recommend you group up. The encounters are designed around groups of 4, which is also the maximum number of people that you can bring in. Nymics will take you through a couple different encounters, building up to a final boss with its own unique mechanics. What I really like about this style of world event is that it doesn't require you to wait around at specific spots just to wait for the event to start. Rather, you can go ahead and find the Seekers and do all of that at your own convenience. More along the lines of a daily delve quest, or kinda like a world boss daily, since you might need to wait just a bit for the Seekers to spawn. To make things a bit easier, if you're in a group, only one person needs to have the 5 Ichor needed in order to enter the Bastion. The rest can simply teleport to them. That being said, if the other group members have any Ichor in their inventory, these will be consumed upon entering, so you won't be able to hoard them for later. Nymics are broken down into 3 different districts, with you starting in one of the 3. One themed around Periite, another around Vermina, and the third more so around Hermaeus Mora himself. With the invading Daedric princes, Mora's own servants have been turned against him, corrupting part of Apocrypha from within. Nymics have a total of 6 possible bosses, 3 mini-bosses and 3 final bosses. Your assigned starting district will determine your required mini-boss for the quest, as well as your final boss. Once completing the assigned mini-boss for the daily, the other 2 districts will open up and be available to you and your group. This gives you a chance to run through the entirety of the Bastion Nymic in a single run. allowing you to fight all 3 of the district's mini-bosses in just one session. If you have the time for it, I would say that running the 3 districts in one run is the most optimal way. It means more potential rewards, XP, and knocking out more of the achievements in just one go. I've run quite a few of the Bastion Nymics by now, and found that with a group of 4, we were typically finishing a run in 10 to 15 minutes, assuming that you're focused just on completing the 1 district with the 1 mini-boss and the 1 final boss. If you're trying to run all 3 districts with all 3 mini-bosses as well as the different secrets and puzzles for extra loot, this can take closer to an hour, or even longer, depending. We found that we personally needed a full group of 4, with the traditional dungeon group of 2 DPS, 1 healer, and 1 tank. Mini-bosses have 4.5 million health, and your final boss will have 5 million. So yeah, it's geared around group play. I've already seen a lot of players in zone chat forming groups to run Nymics as well, which works great if you don't have a dedicated group of friends at the ready. Difficulty-wise, I would personally consider it to be somewhere between normal dungeons and their veteran counterparts. There's a handful of different rewards to be gained from the Bastions, as well as fighting the Herald Seekers across the peninsula and Apocrypha. One of the 5 deck fragments needed for the Almalexia Tales of Tribute deck drops from the Heralds. I got lucky and I got this on the first one. Completing the puzzles for each of the districts grants a bonus chest, and the final boss spawns a chest for completion of the Nymic as well. These chests can drop leveled gear, including the 5-piece zone sets from the chapter, with up to purple level gear including for jewelry, which is really nice. The Nymics can drop different antiquity leads as well, including some for the new music box, mythic gear, and player markings. By defeating the 3 unique final bosses in Nymics, the Irrefutable, the Dreadful, and the Noxious Heralds, you'll unlock the Bane of Heralds achievement, as well as the Shroom Tender Breaches style. By completing the Bane of Heralds achievement, the Nymic Champion achievement, which requires completion of 15 Nymic daily quests, and the Bastion Nymic Master Puzzler achievement, go figure for solving all the puzzles in the Nymic, you'll unlock the Obsidian Dwarven Sphere non-combat pet. A lot of players have been asking for more pets, outfit styles, and other cosmetics that can be unlocked as in-game rewards, and I think they did a really good job with this in Necrom. One thing I was hoping for was that we might be able to stock up on Ichor past the required 5, just so that we might be able to run the Nymic back to back to back. That being said, there is some good flexibility here already, in making it so that only one person needs to gather the Ichor, rather than requiring everyone in the group to have it. Not to mention being able to run all the districts once you're inside as well. Given that we don't have another dungeon DLC coming out this year, I think Bastion Nymics serve as a great stand-in for a new type of group content. If anything, I feel like it's almost slightly more rewarding, since you have the daily quest for it, and can even share the daily quest with your group in order to run it multiple times in one day. Given the community's request for harder overland content for years now, I think Nymics helped to fit that role. I know I found it much easier to complete on my level 50 dungeon-ready character than when I tried running Nymics on my newer mid-level 20 Arcanist. I think it makes Nymics a good piece of group content in the long run, rather than being something that people run a few times on a new character and forget about later on. Once again, thank you to Bethesda Softworks for sponsoring this video. The Elder Scrolls Online Necrom is out now on PC and Mac, and releases June 20th on Xbox One, Series S and X, as well as PlayStation 4 and 5. The new chapter introduces a new main story as part of the Shadow over Morrowind arc. The new Arcanist player class, 2 new companions, 2 really fantastic new public dungeons, side quests, antiquities, and of course, Bastion Nymics, as well as much, much more. I streamed Necrom all of last week and I've still barely scratched the surface. I know I have a lot more time ahead of me on Necrom, and I can't wait to jump back into it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.